know what it is, man. It's Mizz. Trust and believe, man. We locked in with the one and only, the hottest, the Renaissance Show. I know what's going on.
All right, so you are now tuned in to the Renaissance Show, episode 5. I'm here with Buffalo, New York MC, Mizz, the Mizzark. What's good, my dude?
First of all, I want to say, too, man, I love the way how you definitely started it off. They got to hear from Mizz. I'm good, baby. I'm good. You tapped in, too, because you know what the fuck going on. That's literally the first thing I say. But no, I'm good, man. Like I was telling you before, it started, man. I'm in the studio right now, so I'm in my mode, man. I'm excited, man. How you feeling over there, man?
Man, I'm doing great on my end here. Everything's good in life, and I'm happy with the way the series is going. I'm happy to be able to have the call with you. I said this before as well, but when I heard you off that King Ralph album, I took away, one, the King Ralph album was really dope, and I'm happy that King Ralph is putting out music. I'm happy that that family is creating music with El Camino as well. But when I listened to that album, there was something special with your voice and your presence on the mic, and I made sure when I had El Camino on here, I asked him about you, and I wanted to learn more about you because there was something about you that I knew that I wanted to be keeping an eye on. And when I found out that you ended up putting out a project and then listened to that project and then having that project meet all of my expectations and letting that kind of marinate and resonate with me over the last few days and let that album speak to me and try to get something out of that album, I took a lot from that album. And now being able to have this phone call with you and go through it with a bit more depth, man, I'm excited. This is my favorite thing to do, is talk about hip-hop and hip-hop history and just shoot the shit on the shit that I love, and being able to have these conversations with the people that are most apt to have the conversation with. If I want to talk about the new Mizzark album, then who better to fucking speak to than Mizzark? And man, I am good.
No, that's dope, man. Like I said, I definitely appreciate and respect, what you actually bring to the table, because like I say, people, they listen to us as the artists and shit like that, but through the music and shit like that, through the music, which is always a plus, but it ain't nothing like a good old sit down. You know what I'm saying? A good old reflection. So, man, I'm excited about what's going on, man.
Yeah, and not to like toot my own horn or anything. I don't think what I do is all that unique, but in a lot of ways, there's an expectation that the artist is going to talk themselves up, and being able to hear like a positive reflection by somebody else that's not that artist, that's not affiliated with that artist, that has no responsibility or obligation to big that artist up.
Right.
I think that speaks a lot, and I think it's why music reviews and criticism and all that is looked at and kind of even a thing in general. But no, I think it's important for people. It's the whole thing of giving somebody their flowers while they're here, right? Like, you're putting out dope music. Let's celebrate it. Let's talk about it. Let's share it with others, right? This is great.
No, for sure, man. I'm excited, man, just as much as the people who's listening is excited as well. So, man, I'm just glad to be able to give what I got to offer and leave a mark with it. So, that's what Stronger Hunger is about. Stronger Hunger, that's what it's about.
100%. Let's talk about that. So the new album, Stronger Hunger, it's not Strength and Hunger, it's Stronger Hunger, implying some sort of change, implying growth, implying some sort of improvement. Let it be to the hunger aspect, let it be to the strength aspect, but there's something different here. And I'll be honest, I gave a listen to some of the earlier shit that you had as well on Spotify. You had Applied Pressure, and it's a 180. It's a different album than what you offer here. Yeah. Talk about what Stronger Hunger, I guess, means to you, and the title, and how that contrasts with the previous work that you put out.
Man, what Stronger Hunger mean to me is just, never, losing the appetite in this shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty, us as humans, we have to eat to survive, but just more so a little outside of that aspect, just, from work ethic, you know what I'm saying? From being compassionate about, what it is that you do and being serious about it and just being content, you know what I'm saying? And to jump to the other question, Stronger Hunger, it more so sounds as like a emphasis statement, more as like I was emphasizing something prior, which I was actually before my Applied Pressure album released. Man, I want to say, actually, to not to jump, but basically from the Stronger Hunger, I want to say maybe about 7 years back, I released a project with just the title Strong Hunger. So that's definitely where that stems from. You know what I'm saying? And yeah. Just showing, my strength, my growth. You know what I'm saying? And just being able to take what I learned. You know what I'm saying? Beforehand, and just implicate it with what I got in front of me, and make do what it is with whatever it is that I'm trying to make out of it. So just being, being the one and only you. You know what I'm saying? Not trying to make up nothing, just being natural about your beliefs and everything that come with it, man, and just putting more strength into anything it is. And you got your mind to.
You have a line on the album that says something to the effect of, and I don't have the lyrics in front of me, but it's something to the effect of, "Nobody is perfect, but perfect your imperfections as long as there is purpose." And it feels like that line stuck to me when I heard the album, but it feels like that's kind of what you're getting at in terms of 7 years ago you were at a place and you recognized imperfections, and there was a purpose to fix those imperfections and perfect them, right? Nobody's perfect, but you can do your best in order to better yourself as a man, as a human being.
Nah, for sure. Yeah, like it's implicated in the title. It's embedded in the title. Nobody's perfect, and that's a true statement. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, like nobody, no man, walking this earth, nobody breathing this out of their lung, nobody. You feel me? So like I said. Now, I mean, like, at least try to be the best perfect you can be. You know what I'm saying? On the flip side of not being able to be, a perfect human being, but just trying to bring the best you out. You know what I mean? Of you that you can, and just, man, stay humble down and just do what you got to do, man. Because don't get it fucked up, man. We all fall, but as long as you know how to get the fuck back up, you feel me?
Yeah, like when I listen to this album in contrast to the previous album, and I'll be completely honest, I never let that album, that Applied Pressure album, really sit with me the way that I have for this current album. But when I listen to that original Applied Pressure, it feels like you were in a different headspace. It feels like the direction that you were trying to go for that album was radically different than this, right? We have a lot of kind of trap beats. There's an atmosphere or vibe with Applied Pressure that seems to get shifted when you end up going to Stronger Hunger. Not saying that those elements are completely removed. There is songs on there, I think, like Closer to a Million. I think that's the name of the song. That has little kind of hints to that sound, but it's a different direction. Kind of talk about the direction change of you. And I never listened to any of the shit that happened prior to that. I definitely didn't listen to your shit that was happening 7 years ago. Was that the tip that you were on then? What's up with the directional shift?
Man, it's just like you live and you learn. You know what I'm saying? So,
sure.
But it's like you're supposed to mature with time. You know what I'm saying? And find a side of strength, you know what I'm saying, and growth. So, like, honestly, man, Applied Pressure. Okay, now I'm gonna start off by saying this. My album prior to Applied Pressure, which is Strong Hunger, man, I'm gonna tell you like this. I was in a dark, deep ass space. Like, shit was like, I like no source of income. You feel me? Like, no jobs was hiring me. Like, I was just giving up on myself a lot. You feel what I'm saying? But the great thing about it is I always can, find, what I'm saying, like comfort, what I'm saying, within like, making my music and shit. So the album still sound good, but like you can hear this shit. Like you can hear it within the words, the meaning, the metaphors and shit like that. Like I was definitely going through some shit, but basically, and then the jump to Applied Pressure, which is like literally like in the dead center of both of those albums, Strong, then to Stronger. I was really more so still trying to find myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was just more so like trying to, be able to, pull myself together. You know what I'm saying? So boom, we're going to fast forward to go to Stronger Hunger. Like when I tell you, I'm like at the current best state of me I've ever been in, you know what I'm saying? Right now, I'm more comfortable, more belief, you know what I'm saying? And just more so, man, just catapulting in the jump back from every joint. I just feel like I learned something from each joint, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not going down on the ladder, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, man, just showing my growth, showing what I got to offer, you know what I mean, at a better skill each given project, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and 7 years is a long time in order for you to go through those kind of life-changing moments, right? I had Lucky 7 on well, if you're listening to this, the day it airs, this airs Sunday, so Saturday, yesterday, I would
Right.
have had Lucky Seven on, and we were speaking about his kind of educational background, right? He went to Howard University, kind of a university known for Black excellence, and it was able to provide him a sense of confidence, I guess, going into some of his later projects.
Right.
When I listen to a record like this, it feels, if anything, it feels like this is a grown man rap album, right? There's wisdom there.
Yeah.
There's
A
clearly,
lot.
this is coming from an educational perspective, right? You're well informed, you're educated, you're, I don't know. Maybe it's too much to tell anyone that they're wise, but
I
there's
appreciate that.
there's a wisdom, kind of an underlining wisdom that happens with this album. When I listen to something like The Allegory by Royce da 5'9", I think that's something that a lot of people took away from that album, is that this is an album that you have to end up showing kids. Like, this is what kids should be listening
Come
to.
on.
There's an
Come on.
underlining wisdom involved in a record like that, and I want to say that this record ends up sharing that as well. There's a line on this album. And maybe if you could expand on that, that would be great. But you say something to the effect of you completed your master's. Is that true? Like, in terms of like an academic sense, you did your master's, or what were you meaning by that line?
No, I'm not even gonna hold y'all. I definitely didn't get my master's from a educational aspect. It was more so from a metaphoric aspect.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people say, they in a different class. It's all different type of classes and shit like that. But it's just saying, like, I'm here. I'm aware. You know what I'm saying? And some people claim they here. They in the building. They tired. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what that. Just playing around with that Byron shit. You know what I'm saying? And you talking about off of known reaction. That's the bar I use, a known reaction.
Yeah, possibly. I'm not. I'm terrible with track names. To be honest, I listen to an album all the way through, and it's really hard for me to kind of isolate solo songs. Sometimes I can, but that's generally pretty hard for me. But no, I see what you're saying anyway, and I didn't know whether or not that was the direction that you're actually speaking on, if it was kind of an academic sense. But either way, like, you
Yeah.
go through life, you go through periods of reflection and growth in general, and you see other people around you. And one of the things, like, I've worked like dead ass, like 9 to 5s for a long period of time. I'm in school now and I'm trying to better myself and go that
Right.
route. But um, you see people around you, especially in that kind of atmosphere. Like, I worked at a call center for like 7 years, and the people there, like, good people, but for the most part, like, just kind of lifeless. Like, they
Yeah.
don't have ambitions. They've never thought about ideas at all. You ask them about what their stance on a given topic is, nothing. I've never thought about it, right? Ask them what their plans are for the future. They have no idea, right? It's like a stagnancy,
That's usually what it is too.
and you witness these people around, and I think as anyone goes through a period of growth, they start to, at least for myself, you start to separate yourself from these other kinds of people, right? There's a clear distinction
Right.
between somebody that is capable of thinking and somebody that is only living to get high or drunk on Fridays and blow their whole paycheck and then wait for the next paycheck
Right.
to roll around and do the same thing with no period of self-reflection in their entirety of their existence. And
It shows, and it starts
yeah,
to show. Upon yourself and others. Like what you speaking about.
yeah, 100%. There's a separation there. When you say something like I've done my master's, or whatever the line was that was kind of referencing that, yeah, you go through life, you go through these periods of growth and personal reflection and trying to identify problems, as you said, in the lyric, the idea of identifying your imperfections, perfecting them as long as there's purpose. there's
Right.
there's a pattern to that, there's a challenge to that, and somebody that undergoes that challenge, I think they can't help but see themselves differently than a lot of other people, right? Like, you just exist on a different plane because you're actually thinking about the world and thinking about yourself and being critical of your own self in a way that a lot of people just don't do. And I don't even think they have the
Yeah.
capability of doing so in a lot of cases. Good people, like honest, hardworking, good people, but existing differently than others. And I think I don't know if there's
You gotta
anything that
have
I've
it
learned.
in
I've learned to recognize that and maybe not pass judgment. I think I used to pass judgment a lot on people that were
you. Yeah.
different than me, but at this point, I try not to. But it's clear that there's a difference at the very least.
No, definitely. Definitely. Everybody got their own purpose. Everybody,
Yeah,
everybody reasoning is different and shit like that. But also by saying that, like, everybody don't have it in them, and that just means from like everybody, not driven in, in the same manner. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people just don't have nothing to live for. Like you said, you know what I'm saying? Some people just don't have or believe in nothing, to live for. You know what I'm saying? So there is no push there. You know what I mean? And it's fucked up. But then you got people, with aspirations and, what I'm saying, trying to, bridge that gap. You know what I'm saying? Get over it, and succeed to, what shit's supposed to be like. And to be honest, speaking from a 9-to-5 aspect, man, believe it or not, man, I quit my job. I had to get away from that space. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be honest. Like, I couldn't focus on me. You know what I'm saying? I would go work at 8 to 12-hour shift, 14-hour shift, and, give, whoever signing my check, that time and, shit like that. But then come home and don't even want to work on my own self. It's times I come home, from doing the, 8-10 hour shift, man, and just go right to bed and shit like that, man. You know what I'm saying? So just going back to what you're saying, like, honestly, like I said, I had to remove myself from that space. You know what I'm saying? And now to more so fast forward and get to where I'm trying to get to is I could focus on me now. You know what I'm saying? It was like I believed a lot of shit. I believed in myself. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it fucked up. Always did, but
yeah,
sometimes distractions and shit get in the way, man. Now I have full ownership. Of my time. My peace. So
man.
you know what I mean. So it's, yeah, you gotta know what your purpose is, man, and fulfill it, and just you know what I mean, and just do the best that you can do with it.
Man, 100%. I think I went through that same sort of thought process twice when it was probably 2013, 2014. I had been doing interviews for a number of years, and I was kind of getting involved in music journalism to some degree. I had a YouTube channel that was on the up and up. It was going fairly well. I was writing for a couple different publications, magazine-wise, and I was still holding that 9-to-5 job, and I was trying to do my best to better myself. But that 9-to-5 job, it drains you. It holds you back.
It's draining.
And surrounding yourself, you want to surround yourself with people that motivate you to do better. And the environment that I was in was not doing that. It was motivating me to hold me back. And I needed to pull myself away from that. And I saved up enough to live for a year, and I quit. And my goal was to try to end up spending that year to see what I can make for myself and see if I could do it. And unfortunately, I couldn't do it. I had to go back to that 9-to-5 job. But after a few years, I said, okay, well, I need to pull away from this again. I can't do this. So it was okay. Let's go the legitimate route. Let's do school. Like let's do something. Let's grow on me that way, right? If I want to be able to talk about my ideas, then I should have the credentials to do so. Let's get a PhD. Let's do that the proper way. And to be honest, I'm studying Canadian hip hop. That's what my background is in terms of education. That's the papers I write. I wrote my master's on Victoria, Vancouver Island hip hop. I'll be doing I wrote my thesis, my undergrad thesis on that.
I'm gonna cut you off, but you could really amount to that line then, my master's line, and I don't even mean to cut you off. That's dope. That's you telling me this. Okay.
Yeah, so, and I think I misspoke there. I did my undergrad thesis on Victoria hip hop. I'll be doing my master's thesis on Canadian hip hop as well, and my PhD will also end up being that route. But yeah, that's the journey I'm on, right? And both times it stemmed from the same thing, which is the environment that I was at was holding me back. It wasn't providing me the right kind of motivation to keep going, and there was always that internal struggle in terms of me wanting and having the ambition to get better and to try, but I was battling with this fucking force that was holding me back in life, and the people around me were sucking that energy out of me and weren't supporting that idea. So I think I'm on the right path now, but no, I hear you. I really identify with what you're saying.
And to be honest, man, life in general, man, it's all about structure, man. It's all about structure. Man. Like sometimes, you know what I mean? And, I've been there before, like found myself all over the place, you know what I'm saying? Like
sure.
Unorganized, just, with everything and many different aspects. But like I said, it's all about structure, man. You used a big terminology. You said goal. you use the word goal, you know what I mean, in the middle of the conversation. Having goals too, man. Like knowing what's on the other side before you can even get there. You know what I'm saying? The possibilities and shit like that. So it sounds like, man, you got it, written out for yourself, man. Man, much congrats, success, and everything that you got going on too. But it's all about structure, man, and having that stronger hunger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Has that always been the mentality that you've kind of seen yourself as well, in terms of you're the type of person that set these goals to try to knock them out and had that ambition, but it was the environment that was holding you back in that way? Is that always been the type of person that you are?
No, for sure, for sure. Like, man, like I always like I got it always had it in me, you know what I mean? I always knew, like, I feel like this was given to me, God's gift, you know what I'm saying? Like this was not made up, not no overnight shit. So I just feel like this is what I'm set out to do and shit. So it always, you know what I mean, been, my business, you know what I'm saying, be able to present myself in a way I do, you know what I mean, with my pen and shit like that. But nah, man, sometimes, and I ain't gonna lie to you, man, like I said, I was in a deep space, like throughout my life and shit, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Going through depression and all type of shit. So sometimes that targeted, you know what I'm saying, my ambition sometimes and shit like that. So, you know what I mean? Like I said, and it's all about structure too. So, like, man, like I said, I'm gonna throw the good in and bad in, you know what I'm saying? But both of them, a good mixture of both, you know what I'm saying? And knowing, like I said, you live and you learn. It's moving me forward, keeping my 2 feet, ahead and shit, and just being able to, know what I mean, say, and, that I've been there. I've been, beneath, at the bottom, you know what I'm saying? At the very, very bottom. So just being able to come out and grasp, both sides of this shit keep me afloat, you know what I'm saying?
Man, 100%. I've been there, and I feel like I'm still there in a lot of ways, right? Like it's always this path of growth and trying to identify your own problems, and trying to create solutions for those problems. But yeah, there's plenty of things. I think the mental health one is a huge one.
Journey.
Yeah, man. The mental health one's a huge one.
It's a current journey.
It's real. Like I don't know. I feel like the same thing, right? Like I feel like anyone that really cares about themselves is susceptible to those feelings. Let it be depression or just getting in those moments, and they last for a long time, 6 months, a year, right? 2 years, right? Trying to pull yourself out of something like that. But if you really care and you spend a lot of time internalizing your own thoughts, you're prone to get these sorts of feelings every once in a while. But yeah, the mental health one is really overlooked. Like I know people it's kind of a hot topic now to talk about mental health, but what it can do to somebody is absolutely fucking crippling, and it like ruins somebody, man. Like I was in university when I had my first panic attack, and I remember thinking, shit, I can't be this person. The person that I want to be doesn't have panic attacks. I can't believe I'm this fucking person. I'm sitting there having a panic attack for the very first time in my office, and I am like crumbling. I'm thinking, holy shit, I can't do this. I can't function. And if this is going to be unreliable, well, then how the fuck am I going to end up going to a business meeting knowing that this could happen at any given time? Like, this isn't the type of person that I want to be. Am I the type of dude that has panic attacks now? Right? Like, absolutely, like, crippling.
No, that it'll fuck with you. It'll fuck with you. It'll fuck with you, like, man. Like,
100%.
Like, you don't feel like yourself.
100%. Getting back to the music, because I do want to focus on the music. I think this album is incredible. I've spent a lot of time really kind of soaking this one in. The first single, Prey vs. Predator, that was the song that ended up coming up when I spoke to King Ralph. He ended up mentioning that song because he's on it. And actually, I heard that song. When I checked out this album, that song was immediately familiar. I'm not sure why I heard that. It's featuring Rick Hyde and King Ralph. There's a video for it, and I'm sure it would have been the video because I've went back since and watched the video, and that's where I heard the song. But I'm not sure what avenue brought me to it anyhow. But it's a banger, and definitely if we're comparing it to previous albums, if we're comparing it to something like Applied Pressure, this is the 180. This is the furthest thing from that, and I think this is the most boom bap that this album ends up seeing. Right, there's a lot of moments of kind of soul on this album, right? Boom bap and kind of has that feeling to it, but it's a lot of reflection. It's a lot of kind of internalization and trying to get those messages across. Whereas Prey vs.
Yeah.
Predator is just bar after bar after bar. It's a hard beat. The hook on there is kind of infectious, but it doesn't speak to really anything else other than like some grimy shit. And King Ralph and Rick Hyde do excellent jobs on there. Talk about how that song came together with King Ralph and Rick Hyde, and the decision for making that the first single on the album and the video.
Man, first of all, shout out CG. My boy CG produced that joint for us, man. Me and CG, prior to me, even getting that beat, I want to say a few days before that, I went to his crib. He called me over, like, yo, I just want to do, a record with you, for my album. He produces and shit, solely produces and shit. Like, he putting an album with artists, over his beats and shit. So I went over there, man, grabbed my equipment and all that. I went over there. We went through, skiing through a few beats and shit, laid that joint down. It's called Blurry Mirrors, by the way. That's out too. But he ended up hitting me up like, yo, bro, yo, man, that song you did, man, like that shit, like, man, I can't get this shit on my head. Boom, 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 man. I got more joints like that, man. I'm about to send a pack through. I'm like, hell yeah, man. You got to tell me that, man. Send that shit through. And he sent me the pack. It had, it had 4 joints. It had 4 beats in there, and one of them was a Prey vs. Predator. And as soon as I heard the joint, man, I want to say, I was riding around. And I was playing the joint. As soon as I heard the joint, I ain't gonna hold you. Like, the words came to me, like the beat spoke to me. You know what I'm saying? And I just heard, like, you know what I mean, like a vicious, coming from a vicious standpoint, man. Prey vs. Predator. I feel like we already live in the dog-eat-dog world. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was grimy, like you said. It was kind of gritty feel. Yep. So you know what? So I damn near wrote the hook, while I was, spinning the corners and shit. I wrote the hook. End up getting back to the crib. I wrote the verse, laid that shit down, like at my little studio, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I hit up Ralph. I'm like, yo, bro, I got this joint, man. I need you on a joint or whatever, man. He like, man, let's do it. Send the joint through. Send a rough through to him. Know what I mean? He wrote his verse. We booked this session the next day. He came through. Then we ended up basically redoing the whole song, you know what I mean, with just me and him. Of course, I'm on the hook. And then I want to say I put a sample up. On Instagram, like a 45-second clip. And Rick Hyde commented, like, with the big-ass eye emojis, like, man, what's up with that joint or whatever? I'm like, man, you want in on the joint? Yeah, so I text him. I'm like, man, you want in on the joint, bro? He like, man, hell yeah, man, send that joint through, man. So I sent him that joint through. Maybe about, like, a week later, maybe not maybe shy of a week. I'm riding around in my car and shit, and my boy Sheez, or our boy Sheez, he at the studio with Rick Hyde. They at GCR. Shout out Sheez. Sheez sent me like a video clip in my DM, and it's Rick Hyde recording the joint, man. And it's crazy. I was like right around the corner. I'm like, man, I'm about to pull up. Sheez, pull up, man. He laced the joint, man. And honestly, man, that's what that was, man. It was all off of love, the whole concept of this shit, man. And they both fit perfectly. You feel me? They both fit perfectly on that.
100%, man. I think it's a beautiful song. I've shared it to other people as well, and it resonates with people, and I understand why. It's a banger, right? It's infectious, it's catchy to some degree, and it's just a really, really hard song, and I think people really fuck with that. Like the conceptual storytelling songs, that fits a mood, and people can get into that, and people can get a lot out of it, I think, if they really let it kind of resonate with them. But when it comes to just, like, I guess the mass appeal, songs like that really end up hitting hard. I think it's an excellent first single for the album. Talk about your relationship with Rick Hyde. I know your relationship with King Ralph, and that's been solidified. Not only were you on that project with him over a couple songs, but he's also off of a couple songs off this album. It's not just Prey vs. Predator. He's on another track near the end as well. But what's your relationship with Rick Hyde like? Because that's Buffalo Cat as well, but obviously someone that's experiencing all the glory right now, right? Like, he's doing very, very well for himself, and I'm so happy for him. And I spoke to Rick Hyde earlier in the year as well, but man, a good dude. But again, just seeing all the success, and I'm so happy for that. But what's your relationship with Rick Hyde?
Man, Rick Hyde, that's my boy, man. I knew Rick Hyde for a while. So Buffalo's small as it is, man. Like, sure. You feel what I'm saying? Like, from every aspect, you feel me? So we used to all I met Rick Hyde, you know what I mean? I want to say at a venue. It was called Buff Live. You know what I'm saying? Like every like I want to say Tuesdays and Thursdays, man, they had like the open mic. This like 2011.
Gotcha.
DJ Shay, rest in peace to the great DJ Shay. DJ Shay used to DJ it every Tuesdays and Thursdays. I want to say, hopefully I'm getting the days wrong, but
Very much
he used
so.
to DJ this music. Of course, Rick Hyde would be there, Benny would be there, sometimes Armani Caesar would be there. Just honestly, man, whoever was up on their shit, you know what I'm saying, it was on the mic, you know what I mean, giving hell, you know, would be up there. Like it was called Buff Life, and Dirty Nate, rest in peace, Dirty Nate as well, another great man, legend from Buffalo, man. He was the host. Like I said, so we used to all, you know what I mean, honestly, like every Tuesday and Thursday, man, it would be a handful, you know, of great talent, man, coming to the open mic and shit, and we just always, you know what I mean, we go on stage and, you know, come off and respect each other and shit like that, man. So it just is always love and shit, you know what I'm saying? So we just like really, really met on the music shit. So it even made it even more, you know what I mean, spectacular. So, and then from there, man, we just started doing records. He threw me on the joint called Chug. I want to say Chug dropped maybe not too long after 2011, 2012. I think that next year he threw me on a joint called Chug. And honestly, I went on tour actually too with Benny, man. I went on tour in like 2019, man. So went on tour with with Rick, these guys, and just always, you know what I mean, it always just been, you know, love, and the attractions has always been like that. So yeah, that's my guy, man.
Man, we had this conversation before the recording started, but in terms of, I guess, this Renaissance movement, right, and how much, at least it speaks to me, and the type of kind of vibe that I'm getting out of this. But when you're saying that this is back in 2011 that you're doing this, this is before the world is tuned into what's happening in Buffalo, and the fact that this is all coming out of upstate New York, like, I guess it's not all coming out of upstate New York. You have overseas producers that are contributing. You have people in LA like Scatterbrain and whatnot or San Diego that are putting in a lot of work in this same sort of movement as well. But it's condensed into upstate New York, and that's definitely where it stemmed from. Anyhow, let it be Rochester, but primarily Buffalo. And the fact that just in 6 years or so, the world has started listening to what's happening in your city. I'm in Nova Scotia. The world's never been tuned into what's happening here, and there's nothing happening here that's worthy of the world tuning into. But that's crazy to me that. And I still, I speak to all these cats that are from the city, from Buffalo, and I still just, I can't wrap my head around how exciting that must be to be putting in work for so many years, and then just seeing the world tuned into what you guys are doing. It's incredible. It's fascinating. I can't believe that happened. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, I guess the only thing that I can even compare it to is something like early New York Bronx hip hop starting to get a limelight. But it was new then, right? It wasn't like, man, we've been putting in work for all these years and no one really gave a shit about us. Like, people kind of were tuned into what was happening in the South Bronx when it was happening. Maybe it took a couple of years for things to really pop off, but it popped off there. It did pop off there because it was happening there. But what's happened in Buffalo, I think is just incredible, and I can't even imagine what that would feel like as an artist in Buffalo that is friends with these dudes, right? You're going to open mic nights. Like, I study Canadian hip hop, and I understand what it's like to be in that kind of local environment. You're going to your open mic nights, you're creating a scene within your own city, and you're friends with everyone there. You're building kind of a family relationship with everyone, but there's no expectation that this is going to end up going anywhere else beyond that. You guys are just having fun. You're making records with your friends, and then seeing the world fuck with you guys on like a major level, like signed to Shady Records level, it's absolutely mind-boggling. I've talked enough here, but like when you start seeing that,
giving love, you showing love.
Yeah, when you see that start happening around 2015, you see Fly God drop, and you see the reception that it gets. You see the Hall and Nash. You see these Griselda projects start to come out that are just generating discussion, like real discussion. Like, people are saying, "Oh shit, this is something that you have to check out on." The blogs are starting starting to tune in. The Facebook groups are starting to post their shit and talk about it. Twitter starts to kind of rumble. And what's that like in Buffalo on the ground level? Are you guys even aware that there's a buzz that's starting to formulate? Like, at what point do you realize that
Yeah, this is
there's a buzz
it's
and
good.
this is a conversation that is happening in the world? When do you start to realize that? Because you must be kind of barricaded from a lot of that, just being in the
Right,
city, right? You're in the open mic now. Nothing's changed on your end.
right.
When do you start to see that other people are tuned in to some degree?
Man, you want to know something, man? For real. Like when I really knew, like it was like a possibility, to really like, make it with this shit.
Yeah.
For real. Like, okay, boom. Like I want to say back in like, was it like 2014? And it's crazy because honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I caught on to like West Side Gunwave, like his music and shit like that a little later. But to make a long story short, man, in 2014, man, it's around the time when my first Strong Hunger dropped, maybe like right under a year. I was in the studio with West Side. This before the West Side that everybody knows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was in the studio with West. Shout out my brother Billy Esco. I call him Busy. We was at his studio or whatever.
He's on the new record too.
And yeah, that's my brother. Like we could talk forever. That's my brother, like since freshman year of high school, man, all the way to senior year. But yeah, we was at his crib, man, and I'll ride first, and then he's like, yeah, I got a session soon with Wes. I'm like, who, whatever, you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm just being honest. I wasn't really like caught on.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I was on. I'm gonna talk about this a little later, but I was out the scene for a minute too. I didn't say that too. I honestly, I stopped rapping for some years too. So that's just following up from me being off the scene and not really knowing who Wes was. But make a long story short, he's like, yeah, man, I got a session with Wes, man. Wes about to pull up, boom, boom, boom. We about to knock this song out. Now, mind you, Wes pull up, man, and cool dude, man. You know what I mean? Light skinned dude with the raspy type voice. You know what I mean? Cool. All I seen was like, yo, this a cool cat right here. You know, he Billy played the beat, Busy played the beat, and dude start rapping, man. And I swear to God, yo, as soon as I heard his voice, I'm like, okay, boom. So this is what you be talking about. You feel me? That's the reaction I got. And mind you, so he goes spit his verse and shit, which was flawless. And just to fast forward to what I'm trying to get to is he was literally in the room. It's about maybe four other people, man, individuals in there. And he's telling us like, man, y'all, like in a minute, man, I'm about to make this shit. You know how he talk. I'm about to make this shit pop, man. I'm about to put Buffalo on. I promise you, this is the year. This is 2014. A year before all the shit you talking about, he was dropping.
And you believe
he like,
him.
man, like, I'm telling you, he like, man, I'm telling y'all, man. And I will never forget it. Anybody who from Buffalo know what I'm talking about. Leonardo's Pizza. We don't have it no more. He had a big ass box of Leonardo's Pizza. He offered everybody a slice and all that. He like, man, eating this pizza. He like, I swear to God, y'all boys, I'm about to make this shit pop, man. We about to really put this shit on for the art, for the music, just really giving his gospel and shit. And boom, I turn around, man, this motherfucker really did that and some. And it's like, it's still going. And it's like, just to go back to your question, that's when I knew, you know what I'm saying, that we got something going here. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, I feel like when everybody else did too. And don't let me, subtract or take away nothing from, the Hogers or which is the add-ons with Benny Conway and shit. But man, overall, that's when I knew that, oh yeah, these boys got something going on. They got something going on, and now the flame, the torch is lit, and it's time for to keep the heat cooking, man. Yeah, but that's when I knew that shit was going on, man. For real.
Man, one of the things that I've noticed from a lot of these cats, and yourself included, right? I never heard that project, that first Strong Hunger album that you put out a number of years back, but even listening to the album that came out just prior to this, and listening to shit like what Benny was doing prior, and what Conway was doing prior when he wasn't Conway, right? Where he was, I forget what his name was, but Conway maybe, but there was something else to it, I think.
I believe it was Cannon.
Yeah, Cannon. Yeah, exactly. So listening to some of those like old records and some of the first like Benny shit that was coming out as well, like My First Brick Benny, a lot of the material off of there is different. It sounds different. They're going for a different kind of sonic template, right? It's a lot of trap beats, it's a lot of kind of party, kind of vibe music in that sort of direction. It doesn't get the griminess, right, until the kind of Griselda movement starts picking up. Noticing records like what you've been putting out and noticing that change of direction yourself, do you feel like because clearly there must be an acknowledgement in the city that it's one, this is now possible. So
Yeah.
the actual career aspect of it is something that you guys can do. But it also feels like the people that are coming out of Buffalo are all sharing this same sort of aesthetic wave. And I don't know if it's something of the effect of, hey, this is the type of shit that we always wanted to make, but we felt like we didn't have an avenue to do so, or if it was, hey, this is what's currently kind of working and I really fuck with it, so let's try to end up adapting to this. But it feels like, for whatever reason, everyone has kind of switched to this boom bap kind of 90s aesthetic template. But it didn't start out that way. Like, even if you look at people like Benny or yourself or a lot of these cats, it started out in making music for a different cause, right? It wasn't for this aesthetic. Do you feel like there's almost an obligation for you to change your sound to make it more grimy? And I guess why even do that? Like, but there's clearly something happening in the city where that change is starting to occur, right? And I think it has occurred, right? I think if we're talking about when that change happened, I think it's probably around like 2015, 2016, like a few years ago. Something's changed. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right. No, I definitely do. Honestly, man, and like I said, I took some time off with this shit, man, but me personally, though, I always been versatile. But I'm gonna be honest, like with this Stronger Hunger, like I make all type of music, man. Like if you keep your ear tapped, then you're gonna witness it and shit. But with the Stronger Hunger, honestly, for me, and like I said, I can really speak more so for me. This one, I wanted to let people know I could rap still. You know what I'm saying? Like I know that, you know what I'm saying. Bring my shit, you know what I mean, to the table. And like you said, here and there, you might have heard some trap joints on the album, and that's kind of like me, for real, because I was gonna go all like boom bap. You know, I feel like this is a real conscious, you know, type of album, I would say. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna go mostly boom bap. Yeah, I was gonna go mostly boom bap. Like I said, just to cause I ain't gonna lie, I love the boom bap. I love it all, for real. Like I make all type of music, man. Like, but like I said, the boom bap, the conscious, to the trap, to the soul, to the man. Like you might even hear me like here and there. I don't do it too much, but I might harmonize. You know, throw a little bit of auto tune and shit. But like more so, what I'm trying to say is like, you can hear me kind of breaking out and wanting to do a little trap. You know what I'm saying? Closer towards the end of this, you know what I mean, of the Stronger Hunger album. So like honestly, for me, like I said, I can see for me, I don't know, man. I just go on how I feel. I make music on how I feel, man. And
sure,
you know what I'm saying. I usually don't go for a lane. And to speak for the Buffalo sound, and I ain't gonna lie, man. Like when people think of the Buffalo, the first thing people they think of is Griselda, and I ain't gonna lie, they got that sound locked the fuck down. And I'm not even gonna lie and say it. I'm not even gonna lie and say that, you know, them guys didn't influence, you know, some of the beat choices and, you know, some of the way I wanted to, you know, depict, you know, the way I wanted my new album to sound, you know what I mean, from their sound a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So and that's more so just giving them their flowers, you know what I'm saying? Just laying that carpet down, man, because that's just real shit. They jive opening the doors for all of us. But like, yeah, that boom bap, you know what I mean? That's without a doubt. You know, that's them boys and shit. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? I guess other artists is just, you know, form and do it well together, man.
Yeah, I think that this album, you hit the nail on the head when you say conscious. Like, this is a conscious rap album to me, but aesthetically, it's still a boom bap album, right? Like, there's some kind of soul samples that are thrown in here and there. I think the furthest thing that you get away from it is Close to a Million, and that is kind of starting to go into that kind of trap sound. But pretty much everything else, and even that is not like, if you listen to Close to a Million and then you listen to that album that you ended up coming out with last year, it's different. Like, it's not quite the same. Like, it's still a little bit more on the boom bap side of things, but you can tell that hint is there. And as you said, as you go closer to the end of the album in general, you do start to hear those little hints here and there. But I would say that this is a boom bap album. Like, even if you listen to something like, I don't know, like Hitler 8 that just came out by West Side Gun, If you look at like Conductor's beats on there or Camouflage Monk's beats on there, there's a lot of soul samples that are spread throughout. Like there is that feeling,
Nah,
but
for
it's
sure.
still this grimy kind of aesthetic and this boom bap aesthetic. I think that that's the case for this album as well. But the subject matter is different, right? This isn't crack rap for 20 songs. This is a conscious rap album. This is again somebody that's
Yeah,
trying to speak wisdom to an audience,
yeah.
and it comes off that
I just
way.
think what I know.
Yeah. Talk about the
Yeah,
length of this album. So that's another thing. So if you look at a lot of the kind of new artists that are coming out of this wave, I think Hitler AIDS is an exception, being double disc and being so long. But generally, like I have records behind me here, and I don't know the length of every one offhand, but they're like
right.
20, 25 minutes or so is kind of the normal format that seems to be kind of consistent nowadays. This album is different. One, it's not that crack rap. There's conscience, or there's a message here to some degree. So there's
Exactly.
actual like real substance matter, but it's also a really
Yeah,
long album. Not super long, not Hitler 8 long. And I don't have the exact album here in front of me, but it's like 54, 55 minutes or so. Like it's upwards of an
yep.
hour. Talk about the decision to do that, because this could have been broken off into two albums, especially when you're saying that near the end of the album you start to introduce some of those kind of trappy elements maybe.
Right.
I could see this being two separate projects, and I think it would work that way, and I think that fans would. I feel like fans kind of expect 20, 25-minute albums from cats coming out of Buffalo nowadays. Why go the long route and put out this real kind of it feels like a real kind of powerful piece of work. It feels like you're
Yeah.
delivering like here is kind of this magnum opus. Here's me in a box, and it takes an hour to kind of have that come across. But talk about the decision to go that route rather than I guess the 20, 25 minute expected route.
Man, you want to know something, man? Like for real. I wanted to I wanted to add more, man. As crazy as I might sound, man.
Sure, sure.
I wanted to add more. I wanted to add more, but I had to be logical about it, man. Like, man, what the fuck is you doing? Like you said, if you're gonna go, throw more in there, you might as well do a double. Just like I started having thoughts and shit like that. And like you said, it's still a long album and shit like that. But like I said, that just basically off of I don't know, man. I feel like I had a lot to prove this album, and honestly, it was really hard to trickle down to 16 cuts on here, man. It was hard to trickle down from that, man. But like I said, I feel like I had a lot to prove, man, and I just feel like, man, like if I got it to give, why not? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I got the music to give, man, why not and shit, man. And like I said, I wanted to add more, but like I said, I trickled it down and just feel like, man, the 16 I had, man, they all aligned together well, man. Like I also, I wanted to show my, my diverse side as well, which is why I did throw those, couple, trendy, trap, 808, here and there, not too many, but
Sure.
yeah, I don't know. I just feel like in that length, in that amount of time, it was good enough for me, you know what I mean, to create a space for me to, give to the people, the way I'm, known and, usually give to the people, man. So
I think this
that's all
album
that
works.
was.
I think the risk of creating a long album is you're going to bore people, and I feel like that's something that this new
Mhm.
wave has done exceptionally well. Right? If you look again, subject matter, it's very kind of one dimensional. I love the music, and I almost
Yeah.
don't want to ever put any sort of criticism towards it, because I absolutely love it. I think it's almost like perfect music. And I actually
I
love the one
appreciate that.
dimensional aspect of it, to be completely honest. I love just here is what you're going to get. You know what you're going to get, and let's deliver that.
For sure.
I like that. But it is very kind of one dimensional. This album ends up being a little bit more complex in terms of the material that's actually covered. I feel like that 54 minutes doesn't get boring, and that's
Appreciate
important.
that.
That's
I
important.
feel the same way.
Yeah,
For sure.
100%. But like I said, I think that's the risk of doing an album like this, and I think the scene that we're currently experiencing is really tapped into that, right? Like, hey, there's a risk to making these longer projects, so let's not do it that way. Let's just put out these 20, 25-minute projects. Let's leave the audience
Yeah.
always wanting more, and we're okay with that. Whereas this album, Yeah, I don't think it's boring by any means. I fully enjoy the listen all the way through, but I will say that you don't immediately get the, oh, there's an itch to get more. You feel satisfied when you listen to a project like
Mm,
this, right? You take it
that's
in,
dope. That's
and
dope.
I'm satisfied. I can wait a year, right? I don't need to hear another
Mm,
Mizzark album next month. Whereas El Camino, man, I he dropped an album on September 4th on Goodfellas that Devils Do with Tricky Trips, and he was supposed to release another album October 1st with that single Fashionably Late with Kaisha Plume.
yeah,
I was bummed that he didn't end up dropping it. And that was like 3 weeks later. I always
I
want
got you.
more, but this album I walk away and I feel satisfied. There's
That's dope. That's dope.
the hunger has been satisfied, right? I feel sufficiently falsified in taking this album in. I think I think it achieves a different goal, and I think or I think the goal is different, and I think it achieves that different goal.
No, I appreciate that, man. I feel the same way too, man. Just the structure, like going back on structure, man. Like just the songs that I constructed and put together on here, like 100 blessings, man. Like a lot, like I said, a lot of it, like you said, give messages and it's meaningful to me. So like 100 blessings, I got, I reference my grandma.
Yeah,
I got a song in there called All My Life, with my mother on there. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, featuring your mother.
Paranoia,
Yeah,
man. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like paranoia, man. Like that goes back to like, me being in a dark place, you know what I'm saying? Like
sure.
always, on the ups, you know what I mean? And Prey versus Predator, man, just always being aware, man. I can name all of these shit, but like you said, it's a message. So that's just what it is with this one, man. I just feel like, man, a message had to be delivered, and I feel like I was here to deliver it, man. And it's way more to come too, man. I want to spill too many beans. I know you said you could wait another year, or putting that term out there, but I'm gonna say it like this: I'm gonna spill the beans, man. Just know that King Ralph and Mizzark has a full project coming very soon. I'm gonna leave that there.
Oh man, that's really exciting. I really
I'm gonna
fuck with
leave that
both of you
there,
guys.
man.
I really do, and to know that that's the case, that's exciting, man. I can't wait.
So,
Another thing, you're talking about some of the kind of personal subject matter that happens on this album, Let It Be Your Mom, or
yeah,
a song like Paranoia. The cover for this album as well has the portraiture of the little kid, black kid with the
yeah,
gun, and it says, "In loving
yeah.
memory of Jason Williams." Talk about Jason Williams. Who is Jason Williams?
Oh man, my big brother, man. Rest in peace, man. Rest his soul, man.
Your
He
biological
actually,
brother?
he put the. Oh no, 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 no.
Okay,
No, that's my bro, man. That's my, yeah, not biological, but that's like I said, that's my
gotcha.
brother, man. Good friend, man. He passed away, man. He actually was the guy who put together the cover. He put the cover art together, man. But not only that, man. Was very instrumental. You know what I'm saying, and like, helping me, become more of a better artist.
How so?
A lot of my videos, if you go back to my videos, I got a video called Blood Money, Amazing Grace, Closer to a Mill. He shot a lot of all those. He shot all those videos and, excuse me, and some. This was always there. Always a good air. A good friend. Like I said, even more a good brother. Like really, a good, one of man, a great critic. When it came to a lot of the decisions that I wanted to make, or feel like I wanted to have his his ear on and shit like that, man. Like a big piece to the puzzle, man. Just to sum it all up, man. But yeah, man, he like I said, very instrumental, man. It's like played a big part, man. And like I said, I feel like honestly, I tell myself every day, man, got to keep this shit pushing because that's all he would want this shit, man. But that's not, yeah, that's my brother though, right there, man.
Man, rest in peace, Jason Williams. But that, yeah, man, I said it before, but that idea of this album, I think, kind of speaks of wisdom. And I think in order to create that sense of, here's somebody that you actually should be listening to, and here's some guy that has some credentials, I think boils down to experience. And not just the death of Jason Williams, but it sounds like the friendship there as well really ends up adding to that experience set, that palette of experience that you're able to kind of speak from. But the album feels like this is a learned person. Here's someone that's went through struggle, went through growth, went through kind of an understanding of himself, and has come out the other end somewhat confident, right? Still struggling, still working on himself, but confident in his ability to tackle that puzzle, right? No longer lost. There seems to be a sense of direction, and I think that's really important. A lot of the themes on this album start talking about things like ambition and the idea of hunger in general, right? In order to be hungry, you have to be hungry for something, right? You know what you're hungry for. You're seeking something out. You have that goal. You mentioned goal earlier, and you emphasize that word, but there's a direction that you're now kind of pinpointed on that it feels focused. This album feels focused, and it feels like it's coming from a focused mindset, which I think is even more important than the album itself sounding focused. I think the fact that it feels like you are focused, I think adds that level of confidence. And again, it adds that level of almost credibility to your messages, because
appreciate that.
I think it's easy to make a conscious rap album, but it's a lot harder to make a conscious rap album that people feel like, hey, this dude actually has the credentials and we should probably listen to this guy. And it feels like that's the case.
No, yeah, man. I've been doing this shit for a while, man. And like you said, man, confidence, you know what I'm saying? That's honestly what got me going still. You know what I'm saying? Just knowing that, I got the mic, you know what I'm saying? I could, put my motherfucking fist up, above my head and, pump on myself. You know what I'm saying? I can still do me and shit. So just knowing, having the will, man. Like, that's all it is, man. Stronger hunger, man. Emphasis on the stronger hunger.
100%. This conversation stemmed from that conversation with King Ralph, and we talked about that earlier a little bit. But when I listened to that King Ralph album, again, there was a song off of there. There was 2 songs off of there, but primarily it was one verse that you ended up doing that really stood out to me. And the other verse was great too, but there was something about that one, and I forget the name of the song at this point. Again, I'm horrible with song names, but the idea was that I really ended up gravitating towards you, and I knew that you were somebody that I wanted to keep an eye out for. When I listened to this album, I had a similar experience with the song Dollar Scheme, and I'm a big El Camino fan, and I really like what El Camino does on the hooks and the way he's able to kind of create these kind of melodies and almost sing, but everything that he sings with is still really kind of hard, and it hits you in a way. And there was a guy off here called Open Season, spelt weird for those listening at home. It's like it's open OPEN, but correct me if I'm wrong here, but season was like CEAZN,
I think.
Yeah, Z-N. That's
my boy.
That dude was dope, and I want to repeat this theme of trying to introduce not only me but also the people at home to new artists. But I'll ask the same question I asked King Ralph. But who is Open Season, and like, why should we be kind of fucking with Open Season? This dude was dope. I really liked him. I actually loved him. He reminded me a lot of El Camino, but he was doing it differently. He wasn't an El Camino copycat by any means, but but he gave me that same sort of feeling in a lot of ways. I want to check out more Open Season stuff. Who is this dude? And yeah, tell me about him.
Man, that's my brother, man. Shout out Open Season, man. Been knowing him honestly before he even started singing, man. Like, make a long story short, he went to school with my younger cousins, with some of my cousins. They all went to school together. They would all hang out and shit. He always playing shit, you know what I mean, and say like, yo, I sing, man, yo, Mizz, throw me, like I said, I was always doing music. Yo, Mizz, throw me on a record and shit, Never heard him sing or no shit like that, man. Always, would say that and shit. And then one day, he actually sung and shit, man, and actually blew me away and shit. And this had to be 2010, around the same time, 2009, 2010. It's just like, man, like a while back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard his voice, whatever, and I'm like, yo, bro, you could like do something with that, with your voice, man. He like, man, for real, whatever, man. So, we actually recorded a few joints, man, and then he just started, exploring, expanding on his own and shit, and just start growing with his shit. And he doing his thing, man. That's my brother. He doing his thing, man.
Does he rap too, or is it just singing?
He, he actually, not too long ago, he started to rap. He rap here and there too, man. He's very talented. But yeah, he definitely big on the vocals and shit like that, man.
Gotcha.
And he doing his thing though, man. The way that record came about, Now, this is like in the very, very beginning of like me putting together the Stronger Hunger album. Like I probably had about like I didn't have that much songs done. You know what I'm saying? I usually come with structure and a flat and like the way I want to place my shit.
Sure.
And like I said, I really didn't have too many songs already, you know, done for the joint. This was like I said, one of the first few many. And I called him over and I'm like, excuse me. I called him over. I'm like, yo, bro, man, what you got going on later today, man? Boom, boom, boom. He's like, man, not much. I'm like, man, slide over, man. I got this record over here, man. I can hear you on this shit or whatever, yo. He's like, word. So, you know, we found some time, you know what I mean, and slid through. And I put the beat on. And automatically, you know what I mean, we just sitting there vibing and she like, yo, man, this shit fire, man. Boom, boom. And I'm gonna be honest, you know what I mean, and this is on some real shit. I'm like, bro, I kind of got like a melody for this shit, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, give me a minute, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to put the hook together. So I put the hook together. I put the whole hook together for that joint. Basically what I did was I kind of like sung it in my way. I put the whole hook together because I kind of like, you know what I'm saying, kind of like had a vision for it. Like I said, that's why I called him personally. But then when he actually got there in my presence and shit, I kind of like put like, I filled the pieces to the puzzle in a little bit more and shit. And I like kind of like sung the hook out to him and shit. And you know, I ain't gonna hold you, like I said, he do his thing too, and I ain't taking nothing from him too, because he is a fucking phenomenal writer too. But like I said, I ended up writing the hook for that joint, and he ended up basically do his own little twist on this shit. Know what I'm saying? Like went this pitch with it and went that pitch with it, and like in a sense, man, we came up with that shit together, man, and that's how that shit came together, man. That's my brother though, right there, man. We got a lot more coming too. Believe that.
Does he have any projects out on his own, or is it just kind of sporadic feature material? Like, what else should I be checking out from him?
I know, yo, to be honest, he one of them artists, he drops singles like it ain't no tomorrow, man. Like raindrops.
Gotcha.
So you could actually, yeah. I'm not sure when he put out the last, like, full body project, but, he definitely got some shit coming. He got some shit coming. I ain't gonna hold you. I don't even want to waste, you know what I mean? No motherfucking surprises or no shit like that. Put him out when I shouldn't be, but I'm gonna just tell you like this. He got something coming with somebody, you know what I mean, who really put the stamp on his Buffalo shit. You feel me? I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna let the people fill that gap in. But yeah, he doing his thing. You're gonna hear about him a lot more. I mean, you're gonna hear about him real soon, a lot more. Trust me. But yeah, you can check for him though. Spell it the same way you just quoted it, and he everywhere, man. He doing his thing. He hot. That's my brother, man. He doing his thing.
Man, I haven't taken the time. I haven't had the chance or the time to do that Google, to do that kind of research and that homework. But I walked away from this record saying Mizzark's dope, and this open season guy, I want to check out more from him as well. A lot of the other names off the record I think are dope, but I know them, right? Like I know who Rick Hyde is, I know who King Ralph is, I know who Billy Esco is. These are cats that I've seen pop up elsewhere and that I like. Open season was a new name to me and someone that really ended up standing out, and I think that's what I took when I listened to that King Ralph album as well. That hey, this Mizzark guy, I've never heard that name before, and why haven't I? Because he was really, really dope. But yeah, man, I appreciate you shedding some light on open season there, because like I said, I'm a fan as of now. I want to do more work. I want to do more homework and check the dude out.
No, do that. Trust me, he ain't gonna let you down, man. He ain't gonna let you down. He got some shit coming too. Like we like I said, that's a brother. That's another person I could call my brother. Like, you know, we still hit the studio. We got records motherfuckers ain't never hear, you know what I mean? All type of shit, man. Like, he play shit for me, I play shit for him, and I'ma just, man, off of that, he got some shit coming too. So keep your ears open and eyes as well, man. Be on the lookout.
100%. What's happening with the Stronger Hunger album? I seen that you posted a photo with Jay Skis, and he ended up copying your album. You copped his, so I know the album exists on CD. Where can people pick that up? Are you planning a vinyl kind of distribution for this record as well? Is there vinyl already pressed for it? Tell me about, I guess, the physical product side and the marketing for this album. What's happening here?
It's honestly, of course, it's on all DSPs. You could catch that everywhere streaming. I'm gonna be honest, man. I definitely, you know, I had a good handful of albums and still do. Local wise, I'm literally in the midst of putting everything together to get, you know, those, you know, them CDs out to people, you know what I mean, who can't get them, you know, firsthand and shit like that. So basically putting the website together And I'm looking into vinyls and all that shit too. I'm gonna be honest, man. Since supply pressure, like I'm really, you know, focusing more so, you know, abruptly on my business side. You know what I'm saying? Like that's huge. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really still, you know, learning shit. Like going off of my boy Ralph said, man. I'm still learning shit too, man, and just trying to get everything together, you know, to service the people the way I could. But like I said, be on the lookout, man. I'm like I said, the website coming soon, man. And everything from there, man, like my merch and everything, man, like the music is going to be tangible for everybody. You know what I mean? Soon in every aspect. Like I said, I'm trying to look more into the vinyls. And actually I had this talk with Keys too about the vinyls. I popped up at his pop-up shop not too long ago. And, I'm going to just say he definitely, man, shed some light about the vinyl industry and was, you know, giving me some pointers and shit. So I appreciate him for that. So I'm kind of, you know, building my knowledge up on, you know, certain things that I need to know, you know, being, you know, in this industry and shit like that. So just know, man, a lot more is coming real soon, and just stay tuned and you'll know what's going on. Like everybody else will. You know what I'm saying, man?
Yeah, 100%. I'm a fan of this project. I would love to end up picking it up on wax if it does come out on wax. You always see CDs behind me, but I haven't bought CDs in a while. I work on the Canadian Hip Hop Project, and people send me CDs all the time, and I fuck with it. I listen to them, and they're cool. But when it comes to this scene, I think, and I've talked to death about this, so I won't go into too much detail, but I think that this scene has really captivated on the vinyl record in a really unique way, and I feel like different scenes throughout hip-hop history have had a medium to represent them, right? If you talk about like the old DJ Screw tapes, it was tapes, right? Like if you're gonna collect like old Houston rap, you should probably collect it on cassette, right? Like that's the the medium that really spoke to that movement. And I think the same thing if you talk about like Bay Area shit from the underground Bay Area scene in the 90s, people like Freestyle Fellowship and well, I guess Freestyle Fellowship's more LA, but like Mystic Journeyman and whatnot. I feel like, again, if you're going to do that, you're probably going to end up wanting to buy the tape. If you're buying like, I don't know, like old disco rap records from the 80s, it's you're going to want to buy the 12-inch singles, right? That's the medium that really spoke to that. And what's currently happening right now with this new Renaissance movement, I feel like vinyl is what that scene really identifies with. So I've tried to do my best, and I have CDs from Rome Streets and shit like that too in the collection, but I'll be honest, I try to pick shit up on vinyl because I feel like in 20, 30 years, when we look back at this movement, that's going to be the medium that really represents it. And I think what you guys are doing with vinyl as well, and I lump you in this as well, even though you don't have wax out yourself, but part of this movement, and you definitely belong in this conversation, what you guys are doing with vinyl records is incredible, right? It's so unique. It's different. You couldn't buy a test pressing of a record that came out from the 90s. You couldn't buy a test pressing of the Infamous, right? That just didn't happen. That's something that you guys are doing that's unique to this movement. The Obi strips, like I guess, yeah, you could buy a Japanese import and you could do that, but it wasn't done in the same way. This is this is an artistic choice to include this now. All these like color variants and stuff, and I know that's happened with other genres as well, but it really feels like this movement is treating vinyl record in a different way. So I try to end up copying the record. I would love to see a vinyl copy of Stronger Hunger out there. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get them done, man. But no, I definitely I feel where you're coming from, man. To be honest, I'm a 90s baby, man. So like riding around, like all I know, man, my mom, like she would have like the cassette tapes, man, front and the back. You know, once the one side done, you got to flip it over. You know what I'm saying? So
and they were easy
it's like
to steal.
I remember that. You know, yeah.
Really
and, like,
easy to steal.
Like, yeah. And the vinyls is like really, man. That's like definition of hip hop, man. Like that's where the scratching and all that shit came from and shit. So it's just I hear what you're saying, man. And like I said, man, shit. The other day, my boy, shout out King Ralph, man. Everybody go grab it. Come on, King Vinyl just dropped, man. Like he was showing me his shit and shit like that. You know, kind of giving me game about it. And it's like, I mean, like I said, I'm a dig deep. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm just digging deep more into, what I have to, and just, man, vinyl's coming soon. I guess I'm gonna say it like that, man.
Man, I'm excited. Definitely am. What's in kind of store for you over the next little while in terms of new work? I know you're promoting Stronger Hunger, and for those listening at home, do take the time to check out the project. Like honestly, this is a really solid piece of work from a new Buffalo rapper, right? Not new, like you've been putting out work for a while, but people haven't been tuned in and listening to you on
No,
kind
for
of
sure,
a major way. And this is going to be an
for
introduction
sure.
for a lot of people, I feel like, and hopefully new records are even more of an introduction to even a wider audience. But do your homework. But check out this album. It honestly is. It's a really dope album, and it's worthy of listening to, like 100%. And the people, if you're tapped
Mm,
into this movement in any way, there's people on here that you already know and that you fuck with. There's people like Rick Hyde. There's people like King Ralph. And King Ralph's another dude. Like you should be checking out on the dude. Like he's El Camino's brother.
right.
He's dope. He's really dope.
Yeah.
Just check out the dude, right?
Right.
Like do your homework. So yes, this album, this is obviously what's being promoted, and I understand that. But going forward, what can we expect over the next year, 2 years from you on a music tip? You did mention the album with King Ralph, and that's really stokable. But what else is kind of cooking, if there's anything else cooking?
Man, all type of content, man. Like I told you, I like to, test my waters, you know what I'm saying? So I
Sure.
got all different type of shit, man. I'm a, like honestly, for real, man, I be thinking, man, I'm just trying to put like a, more like a softer, like type of sounding album, like with like melodies and shit like that. Take it back to like the, kind of like the Cushion OJ, Wiz Khalifa feel. Like I be like, I like to harmonize and shit. Like I told you, I wrote the, what was that, like the dollar scheme hook and shit like that. So,
Yeah.
I could tap into different types, you know what I'm saying? So it's just all type of shit. Like I think, I want to give more like a trappy, like I said, trendy sound. And I mean, just I like to play around with this shit a little bit, man. So
Sure.
honestly, I don't even know what the fuck to expect. You know what I'm saying? Just expect, know what I mean,
More
some
music.
great, yeah, great consistent content, man. Like I said, for real. Me and Ralph actually talked today, literally before me and you even had this conversation. To put this album that we got going on, you know, push it more, to the forefront, man. So people can enjoy this shit, man. Like we literally about like 80%, you know what I'm saying, through with it. So just a little small shit, man, going through songs and shit like that. So that's actually like one of the like the nearest, things that's going on with me, excuse me. But outside of that, man, my merch, man, uh my business, man, just the business aspect of all this shit, man, so I could become a better artist, for not only just me, but for everybody, you know what I mean, who enjoys it. You know what I'm saying?
100%. I think that's really important, right? Like, yeah, you can create music all you want, but if no one hears your music, like, there's dudes that I checked out in 2011 that are so hidden gems, like, absolutely incredible artists. Like, someone like Akeem. Like, if you're listening to
Yeah.
this, you've never heard of Akeem before, you should check him out. And he's great. He put out this mixtape in like 2011, 2012, 2013, somewhere around that period, and it was called the greatest mixtape of all time. And I listened to it, and oh my god, man, that's the truth. It's so good. It's amazing. He's on some like Nas tip, but the dude has no marketing, and no one knows of him. Right? It's been years and years,
Yeah.
and those YouTube videos for those songs have 20 views, 27 views, and they're all from
Mm.
me. They're all from me. I like no one is tuned in. I think it's really important, right? Like I think creating art should come first, and you should try to create the best art that you can, but
Yeah.
you have to try to market yourself, man, because it's a disservice. It's a
Yeah.
disservice to you. It's like it's a
Yeah.
disservice to the world and to the hip hop community. Like people have to hear this shit. It's good. It's good. So let people hear it, and that does require work that I think a lot of artists are not really maybe not cut out for, or at the very least don't really find appealing, right? Like that's grunt work where creating art is fun, or at least it should be fun. But I think it
Yeah.
goes hand in hand, and it's important, and I'm glad that you recognize that and that you're trying to put that shit
No,
forward. And it feels like this is starting to kind of tune in. When I seen the Hunger Stronger album, I guess when I was introduced to it through King Ralph, and I was told to go and check that project, and then you had mentioned it on the YouTube as well. I went and I
mm,
did that homework, but even that cover was familiar to me because I'd seen that pop up on blogs about a month and a half ago or so, probably when this album was released, because this album has
me
been out
too.
for a few weeks as of now. So I can tell like that, and I think if I were to do a search, I probably wouldn't find your older shit through there through those same blogs. Like people are
No,
starting to tune in, so you're doing something correct, right? And
yeah.
I think that first single, I think "Prey vs Predator," I think is a really good example of that. But clearly, there's a push to, hey, let's try to make people hear this music on a serious note, and let's focus on the business, because maybe that was a weekend of or weak side of my maybe that was an imperfection that I have
No,
to
for sure.
perfect, right? Identifying
For
those
sure.
imperfections.
Like I said, yeah, I was still finding myself, man, or still trying to find myself. I was still like I wasn't too sure, you know what I mean, of a lot of shit when I was making Applied Pressure. So it kind
Yeah,
of sounded like I was all over the place. Like, don't get it wrong. Like, honestly, for real, like, I don't like that album too much. I don't know if anybody ever heard me say that or if I ever said it to anybody, but I don't really like that album too much, man. Like I said, I wasn't completely myself, man. Like
sure.
this one, Stronger Hunger, man, this the most surest I've ever been in my life, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a more promising album for me. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like, the way that this album, sort of came out, or the reason why it came out like that, man.
100%. Yeah, I think even sonically and just the sound of the album, like mix and master as well. Like I think it sounds better. Like it's a more polished record. I
That
seen on
too. I'm gonna
Instagram
cut
that
you
you
off.
went to Pittsburgh.
That too.
You went to Pittsburgh to mix and master something. Was it for this project? Because I can tell there's like there's a difference in quality to this project
No,
compared to what I heard previously.
yes, sir. And yeah, and that's real shit too. Man, the big difference between the two albums. Apply Pressure, I recorded that shit in my motherfucking like living room, dude. Like this one, I was like, I wasn't leaving the house. There was a lot going on, man. Like
Sure.
I'm not the, and just to quote, I'm not the best, like engineer and shit like that. I know I do what I do, but you can hear the difference, point blank, period. You know what I'm saying? You can hear the difference. There was more work to be done. You know what I'm saying? Just the quality, like you said, and everything. But nah, to answer your question, I actually only recorded Weekend in PA in Pittsburgh, in PA.
Gotcha.
That's the only song that I recorded there. And it was dope experience too. I recorded in the ID Labs, off of one of Wiz Khalifa's favorite compressor, I was told, man. So that shit was raw to hear. But most of the songs, no, well, all of the songs, the rest of the songs on here, man, professionally mixed. Like, I took it, like, I basically took it amongst myself to, like, go up that ladder, man. Like, really, like I said, like I was just, like trying to tell you earlier, like, invest in myself. You know what I'm saying? And, like, really, go to people who know what the fuck they doing. You know what I'm saying? And just really bring the, yeah, and bring the full life to it that it needs. You know what I'm saying? Instead of half-assing it. So, yeah, like, it just was a different everything, man. Different sound, different direction, man. Different strength, man. Stronger hunger, man.
Where can people find you? Where can people stay up to date with the current music that's coming out?
To be honest, almost shit, damn near anywhere you listen to music, you'll listen to your music at anywhere. I'm trying to see. I don't know if people. I haven't used SoundCloud in a while. But honestly, before I started, getting my publishing and all that shit in order and shit like that, and getting my shit on the streaming platforms, I used to really just work off of SoundCloud and like Bandcamp. I think I'm gonna put some more. I think I'm gonna actually, to be honest, start dropping like music, like certain music I want to on Bandcamp, so you can only exclusively get it there. You know what I mean? Like that's a whole nother story and shit. But yeah, basically right now, everywhere, man, everywhere.
Gotcha. I know you're on Instagram fairly heavy as well, and that's just like your handle on Instagram is Mizz, right? MIZZ,
Yeah,
MIZZ, MIZZ, MIZZ.
yeah. Yep. Actually, to be specific, the last Z is the third. It's a third
Oh,
Z.
okay,
So
okay.
so
Type in Mizz. You'll find him anyhow.
Exactly.
Man, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your day to speak to me. I appreciate it. This has been a blast of a conversation. I learned a lot about you. I learned a lot about the record that I've now grown to love. And I hope that that's what this series is able to bring forward. And I hope that brings for other people as well. Like, I hope you were able to identify with this record and get something out of it, and then listen to this podcast or this show, whatever you want to call it, and get something more out of the record that you already learned to appreciate. This is a great solid record. Again, Stronger Hunger. It's out now, all digital streaming platforms. Keep an eye out for the record going forward on Wax. And it sounds like CDs are also kind of a thing. But man, once again, thank you. This has been a great conversation. I'd love to have you back on in the future whenever you do end up having new projects on the go.
No, I got a lot coming too, man. No, that's for sure, man. I'm open to wherever, man. I'm open, man. I love what you got going on. I could tell the energy is reciprocated, as vice versa. But honestly, before I get off, I gotta say this, man. Shout out to my brother, man, because honestly, I had an interview maybe not too long ago, and I left him out, man. Shout out to my brother, Eminent. Eminent produced, honestly, about 90% of this album.
And Eminem also produced that King Ralph album too, right? The second one?
Yes. Be on the lookout for Eminent. You can find them, to be specific, everywhere. Is at Eminent716. Eminent716. And yeah, like I said, I just want to leave him out, man. He produced like 90% of this album, to be honest with you. I was, man, like literally, like, man, like neck to neck, man, with him on a lot of these songs, man. Like we really like was locked into studio like for hours, man, for days, like putting these shit together and shit like that. So before I get off, I just wanted to plug that in, man. Shout out my brother, man. Eminent716, man. You're gonna hear a lot more from my brother. The show.
Man, that's fantastic. His name was brought up in the King Ralph interview to a handful of times, and I'll be honest, I didn't go do my homework on Eminent yet, but knowing that he also ended up producing this album, like, I'm just hearing his name over and over and over again. Again, someone, like, when you start hearing these names, just do your homework. Like, so many people are just tapped into what they listen to, and they have this bubble of music that they don't really like to expand upon, but if you hear a name that just comes up, or if you like a feature, just go do your homework, because that's how you grow in terms of your musical palette. You get introduced to so much dope art, and it's a shame that a lot of this just doesn't end up getting heard on like a massive scale, because it's great music, and quality wise, right, it's neck to neck with a lot of this shit, right? So yeah, do your homework on Eminem. I need to do my homework on Eminem and see what else he's done as well, because now from the two King Ralph albums, from this album, he's clearly a name that I should be recognizing.
Yes, sir. Big name, man. He there's a few records, like I said, that didn't make the album, you know, of his and shit like that. So you're going to hear a lot more, you know what I mean? It's a lot more that's already in store, you know what I'm saying?
Awesome. Once again, man, thank you so much. I'll let it go there. We can wrap things up, but man, thank you so much. And again, we'll have to end up doing this again.
Let's do it, man. I'm around for it, man. I appreciate you, man, for having me, man. Stronger Hunger, man. Let's just keep being a greater us, man.